Yo, why is Tyler working in the hallway? Because democracy is brutal. So this one teacher had a rough week. The class was loud all week, no one listened to her, it was a total chaos week. Friday comes around and instead of teaching, she says, "Clearly something's wrong with this class dynamic, so let's fix it." She pulls out a stack of paper slips, passes them around, and says, "I want each of you to write down the name of the student that you think is holding back this class. Be honest." Kids start looking around. They're confused. And don't worry, this will be anonymous. They all write quietly. Slip by slip, she collects them, throws them into a box. Then she starts reading them out loud. Tyler, Tyler, Tyler. Sometimes Emma, but mostly Tyler. Tyler again. By the 10th one, Tyler's head is just on his desk. He can't believe this. Well, Tyler, it looks like your classmates think you're the issue. You have anything to say to that? He doesn't. Okay, so Monday you'll be sitting in the hallway during class, doing solo work until further notice, and the rest of the class just stared at him because Tyler had been quite literally democratically voted out of the class. That is actually insane. He punched the teacher. Why? To get out of a quiz. So there was this one history teacher, ex-military, dude was jacked. He biked 10 miles to school every morning, kept an ab roller in the corner of the room, ate beans and spinach for lunch. Dude was built like a protein bar. One day he gives the class a pop quiz. Groans everywhere. That's when Jeff, the biggest kid in class, he was a football lineman, literal boulder with a backpack, he raises his hand. "If I can punch you in the stomach and make you flinch, can we all get 100s on the pop quiz?" Room goes silent, the teacher's staring at him, and he nods. Deal. He stands up, folds his arms behind his back, everyone gets out of the way. Jeff steps forward, winds up, and absolutely drills the teacher in the stomach. The teacher doesn't flinch, doesn't move, he just breathes and says, "Quiz stays. Take your seat, everybody." And that was it. Jeff became the kid that punched the teacher, and the teacher became the guy you never mess with. "Can I go to the bathroom?" "You know the rules." This teacher had the worst bathroom policy ever. You weren't allowed to just ask. If you had to go, you had to stand up, walk to the front of the room, and explain why you deserved to go to the bathroom. Those were her words, deserve. She said it was about building confidence and reclaiming classroom trust. Mostly, she just didn't believe students were telling the truth. "I've seen too many kids abuse the bathroom. If you really have to go, prove it." And so one day, this kid raises his hand. Usually, he avoids asking this teacher to use the bathroom because he just doesn't want to deal with all this. And during this class, he held it in as long as he could, but he really had to frickin' go. So he asks, "Miss, can I go to the bathroom, please?" "You're gonna have to convince me." "I'm not playing with you right now, miss. Can I please just go to the bathroom? I have to go so bad." "You know the rules. Get up here and explain why you should go to the bathroom." "Okay, fine. Can I do a visual demonstration?" "Whatever it takes." And yeah, by visual demonstration, that's exactly what he meant. "This is your fault." He goes in his pants right then and right there. And the teacher, get this, she gets angry and sends him to the office. "Go to the office now." He goes to the office and explains to the principal what had happened. And the principal did not take this lightly. Instead of seeing a kid disobeying a teacher's rule, he sees a teacher refusing to let students use the bathroom when they have to. After that day, in that class, if you had to use the bathroom, you were just allowed to go. And the principal gave that teacher her last warning. Yeah, she sounds horrible. "You are stealing from the school." "I'm charging my phone." "Exactly." This kid plugs his phone into the wall outlet during class. There wasn't a distraction, his phone just had low battery, and they were doing a free work period, so what's the big deal? Well, the teacher sees this and loses it. "Unplug that now, you are stealing school electricity." "It's a phone charger." "Unplug it or you're suspended and we'll bill you for the power you used." He thinks there's no way that the school would go that far, so he doesn't unplug his phone. But the school, oh, they wanted to punish him. They were ready. He gets called to the office the next day. Official suspension. And he got a notice to appear before a disciplinary committee. What? All this for using the wall outlet in class. So he shows up, calm, silent. "Well, young man, theft is theft, no matter how small. Cool. Here's 10 cents. Keep the change." "Excuse me, you're not done here." Oh, yes I am. Bye." And he walks out. He didn't do that as an actual payment. He did it as a statement because the electricity he used probably cost the school less than a penny, and he gave them 10 times that, just to show how ridiculous this all was. And just to punish him and make an example out of him, the school district spent hundreds of dollars filling out forms, calling this meeting, filing reports just to punish him. So they're the real losers in this fight. And this kid just walked out, no care in the world. What an absolute legend. If your phone goes off in class, you might get arrested. This school had a strict no phone policy. You couldn't even have your phone on you. Not in your pocket, not in your bag, nothing. But the real rule, if a phone rang, audibly buzzed, or dinged during class, the entire room had to stand up, hands on their head, and wait. So you see, 50 years ago, they invented broccoli. All right, stand up. They would then send in a school officer to search every single student. Pocket checks, bag checks, didn't matter. Everybody was getting searched. And if you didn't comply, or if they found your phone, incarceration may result. That's what the handbook said, meaning you might get arrested, which doesn't make sense. And I want to remind you guys, this is a real story. So one day in third period, somebody's phone rings loudly. Everybody up, hands on your heads. The officer comes in. Well, one kid isn't standing up. Stand up. Eat my shorts, idiot. Excuse me? I said eat my shorts, big man. That's it, get up. And they arrested the kid. Yes, I know he was talking back to him, but still, I don't know where the school got off or what kind of law they were writing on, but this entire thing just doesn't seem okay. At Logan's house, there was one rule. Don't go near the piano room, ever. His mom said it was off limits for emotional reasons. His dad called it a sacred space, and anytime a guest walked past the room, the family would act weird. Nothing to see in this room. One time, Logan's friend leaned on the door and the mom freaked out. So I was thinking that we can go to the, Hey! Oh. Well, that night during the sleepover, Logan admitted something. Yo, I've actually never been in the room myself either. You've never been in that room? No. Well, around 2 a.m., Logan's friend who was sleeping over just couldn't handle it anymore, so he got up and he snuck to the piano room. And then he opened the door. And that's when we saw it. Logan's dad was inside, wearing a tuxedo, sitting at a grand piano, his fingers hovering above the keys. He wasn't playing, his fingers were just doing this. He then said, "Get out of here, and close the door." He slammed the door shut and went back to sleep. He later found out that Logan's dad had a very weird obsession with grand pianos, and apparently that time of night was his sacred time. So, I don't know, super weird. That's his search history? Yup. Oh my. This teacher left his smartboard on when he went to the bathroom and he completely exposed himself. Not like that, chill. But his laptop was still connected, still unlocked, and the screen was just sitting there. At first, nobody cared, but then somebody looked up and noticed something. There was a tab open next to the one that he had up, and it had his full name on it. Yo, wait, did he Google himself? Oh my god, he did. So they clicked it, and yes, he had Googled himself. Full name typed into Google. And there were other tabs open too, of like photos. And one of the photos was from some old college article. And the photo was zoomed in on his face, like he was looking for a version of himself that he used to be. They started checking other tabs. One said, how to become a principal. Another said, can teachers date each other? And the last one just said, meme template. Kids were laughing, they were taking pictures, but then the door opened. He saw the board, saw what was open on his computer, and he just stood there. He closed the laptop, looked around the room, and said, do y'all ever have those days where you just don't even recognize yourself anymore? He then just sat back down at his desk, and nobody said a word after that. They said it was actually a pretty sad moment. Poor guy. This kid exposed his own teacher, but then it backfired. Let's call this kid Jake. And recently, Jake had been noticing something strange. The star quarterback, let's call him Ryan, never studied, never did his homework, but he managed to get perfect scores on every test. Well, one day, Jake was staying after class a little bit to ask the teacher a question when he noticed something. The teacher hands Ryan a piece of paper and says, memorize these. That's when Jake realizes the teacher is giving him the answers to the test. Well, he thought, no wonder he keeps getting perfect scores. The teacher is helping him cheat. The teacher's helping him remain on the football team. Instead of snitching, Jake gets smart. he starts watching Ryan, catches him in the library, memorizing stuff from the exact paper the teacher gave him. Jake slowly walks behind Ryan and secretly takes a picture of the paper. Then on test day, he takes a picture of his test. The answer sheet that Ryan was memorizing matches exactly to the test they received. He got it. Proof. The teacher and Ryan were caught. Well, instead of turning this into the principal or whatever, he showed the teacher. He blackmailed her. Hey, yeah, see this? Look familiar? And see this? That's our test from today. The exact same. I know what you're doing. Oh my God. Well, no. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna start giving me the answers to every test. Or I'm taking these pictures and I'm telling the school board and you're fired. Okay. That's blackmail, baby. Now Jake starts getting perfect scores on every single test. But this all came crumbling down. Apparently, another student in the class had stayed behind and heard Jake tell the teacher this. That student went to the principal. What happened? Well, the teacher was fired, Ryan was benched and never played football again, and Jake, he got suspended. The locker room snack dealer. In high school, this kid noticed something. After their gym class, everyone was starving. But the vending machines were always broken and the cafeteria was in the other end of the school. And that's when he saw his opportunity. He went to Costco and bought tons of bulk snacks. Chips, candy, granola bars, you name it. Then he started selling them straight out of his gym locker. The first day he began doing this, everyone was hyped. Oh my gosh, this kid's selling food for us. We're starving every day. This is perfect. After gym class every day, kids would be lining up at his locker to buy some of his snacks. It was a genius business, truly. He was making $50 a day just from selling these snacks. You know, things did get a little bit risky. One day, a teacher walked into the locker room and saw what was going on, and he said, "Hey, you better not be doing what I think you're doing." Kid was scared. He was like, But the teacher was like, "Just kidding." Handed the kid a $5 bill and bought snacks himself. What a legend. That kid ran a snack business all year, and he made over $1,500. You gotta respect the hustle. Now this is a school business. When this kid was in middle school, he had an idea. So his school banned energy drinks, but kids still wanted them really bad. So he decided to start his secret business. He would bring in cans of energy drinks hidden in his backpack, and he would sell them for $5 a piece. Now at first, it was just a few of his friends buying from him. But word got out, and suddenly everybody wanted to buy from him. Now, business was immediately booming. And because the school banned energy drinks, and he was the only one selling them, he raised his prices to $10 a can, and people still bought them. For months and months, he ran this operation, and he never got caught. He even had a system. He would take orders in the morning, and he would make secret drop-offs in between classes. But one day, a gym teacher saw him hand an energy drink to another student and take money from him. Instead of shutting this kid down and turning him in, all he said was, "Be careful." So he kept going. Then, one day, the principal got involved. A teacher saw a kid chugging an energy drink in the hallway, so the teacher inquired, and that kid snitched. The principal pulled this kid into the office, and just like that, the business was shut down. But in total, he made over $7,000. You gotta respect the hustle. So in 8th grade, this kid had a crazy gaming setup at home. And he had the nicest stuff. He had a bunch of fancy controllers, fancy headsets, everything. Well, one day he brought one of his super nice Xbox controllers to school to fidget with. At lunch, his friend saw it and was like, "Hey, yo, let me borrow that for the weekend." "Nah, man, I kinda need it." But his friend pulled out $5 and said, "Hey, come on, just for 2 days, I'll pay you." So he took the money. And Monday, his friend returned the controller and said, "Bro, I would definitely rent this from you again." That's when his idea sparked. He started bringing all of his extra controllers from home to school, charging kids $5 for the weekend or $10 for the whole week. Then kids started asking him if he had any extra headsets, so he started bringing all of his nice headsets to school. By the next month, he was running a full-blown rental service. Controllers, headsets, even an extra keyboard. These kids were paying just to use the better gear at their house. He was making $40 to $50 a week just by doing this. But then one day, one kid lost one of his controllers, and instead of paying for it, he snitched to a teacher. The principal then shut down the whole thing. But in total, this kid made over $1,500. You gotta respect the hustle. So one day, in the middle of 3rd period, this one high school student stood up, didn't say a word, didn't pack up any of his stuff. He just got up and walked out. The teacher was stunned for a second before yelling, "Where do you think you're going?" And without breaking stride, the kid just said, "I've learned enough." The teacher was mad, everyone laughed, but they all assumed he would be back the next day. Except he wasn't. Not the next day, not the next week. But here's the crazy part. It's like the school almost let it happen. People were constantly asking, is he suspended? Did he get expelled? Did he transfer? Nobody had an answer. Well, one day, this concerned student went to the office to ask for himself. Hey, do you have any idea where Johnny's been? Johnny Stevenson? The secretary said, well, it says here that he's still enrolled in the school, so maybe you just missed him. He was still enrolled, but nobody's seen him. He didn't drop out. He was still a student, but nobody had seen him for months. Then at the end of the year, something even weirder happened. It was graduation day. The principal was reading names, and suddenly they read his name. Johnny Stevenson! Everybody froze. People were stunned. There was a long, awkward silence. Then, at the back of the room, Johnny stood up, wearing a full cap and gown. He walked down the aisle, shook the principal's hand, took his diploma, and walked out. And still, nobody knows where Johnny went all that time. Dumbest things people got in trouble for at school. In middle school, this kid's grandma had just passed away, and it was his first day back after the funeral. This is kind of what happened. Did everyone turn their homework in? I only count 17. And there's 20 of us, so who didn't turn their homework in? I didn't. And why didn't you turn it in, Kyle? Did you even do it? You should know this. My grandma just died, and I was at her funeral over the weekend. I'm sorry, but I wasn't thinking about homework. Well, that's a shame, Kyle. I'm giving you a 0 for the entire week. Are you dead, Kyle? No. Homework is more important than funerals, as long as you're alive. Well, that pissed him off, and he lost his mind. You are an absolute bitch. My grandma just died. She was my favorite person in the entire world, and I was at her funeral over the weekend, and now you're punishing me for not doing some stupid math assignment? Screw you! I wish you died instead of my grandma. That's it! Go to the office right now. Good heavens. He explained what happened to school administration, but nobody cared. He was suspended for a week. So one day in 7th grade, this kid got called into the principal's office. He had no idea why. He walks in, sits down, and the principal just stared at him. The principal asks, so, you want to tell me what you did? The kid's confused. I have no idea what you're talking about. That's when the teacher walks in, and she looks pissed. Don't play dumb, you know exactly what you did. Now the kid's kind of panicking. I swear I don't know, what did I do? You skipped my class yesterday. But I know you were at school because I saw you before and after lunch. What were you doing? Huh? Probably something illegal. But here's the thing. He was literally in her class yesterday. No, I wasn't. I was in class. I was sitting on my usual seat. You're crazy. I took attendance, and you were not there. Detention. Now, at this point, this kid is super frustrated. He already did not like this teacher. Now she's accusing him of skipping her class for whatever reason. So he asks the principal one simple question. You have security cameras in every hallway, right? Of course we do, yeah. For the safety of the school. Then check them. The room goes silent. The teacher grows pale because she knows she messed up. They send the kid to sit outside the office while they looked at the cameras, and 15 minutes later, they called him back in. We checked the footage. You were in class. I know. You can go. I'll handle your teacher. But as he was walking away from the office, he could hear the principal yelling at the teacher. Now, why on God's green earth would you make something like that up?
Oh, I didn't.
You better shut your mouth.
You're on thin ice. You're on thin ice.
So this one high school had a basement. Students didn't really know it existed. It was used for maintenance, storage, stuff like that. And it was always locked. Well, one day, this kid, let's call him Jake, was wandering around the school during his free period when he noticed the door to the basement was kind of ajar. The janitor forgot to lock it, so he goes down there. It was a huge, dusty storage room. Old desks, broken chairs, random junk everywhere. But in the middle of the room, there was this tiny metal box that caught his attention. What is that? So he opens it. Inside the box was a single envelope. He picked it up, felt something inside, and he looked. And what he found in there would make his stomach drop. Inside the envelope was an old student ID. The photo was faded. The name was a name he did not recognize, and the date on it, 1986. Underneath the ID was a set of car keys, and underneath the car keys, a newspaper clipping. The headline, high school senior still missing, car found abandoned in school parking lot. He slammed the box shut and ran the heck up the stairs. He was getting out of there. He tried telling a teacher what he saw. The teacher was kind of curious, so she went to the basement door, but it was locked. The janitor walks up. Hi, can I help you? Yeah, one of my students was curious about something in here. Do you mind if I come down here and take a look? Looking for like a metal box or something? Oh, sure. Yeah. She goes down there, but there wasn't a metal box to be found anywhere. She thanks the janitor, goes back upstairs, and tells the student, I don't know what you saw, but there's nothing down there right now, so it must have been your imagination or something. Go to class. But deep down, he knows he came across something very sinister that day. One day, the school had a guest speaker come for an assembly. The whole school was packed into the gym. Hundreds of students, everyone bored out of their mind. The speaker was some local business guy, and all he was going to be doing was talking about leadership and hard work. Nobody was paying attention until about 20 minutes in, a student, let's call him Kevin, stood up. Excuse me! The entire gym went silent. Everyone looked at him. Even the speaker stopped mid-sentence. And in a serious, confident voice, the kid says, I have a question. Yeah, totally. What's your question? Then Kevin, without hesitation, asked, would you rather fight a gorilla once a year but you get a sword? Or have to fight a chicken every time you open a door forever? The entire gym lost it. The teachers were stunned. The speaker stood there processing. Finally, I think I'd take the gorilla. And Kevin just nodded. Respectable choice. And he sat back down. Well, as you can imagine, the entire assembly was completely derailed. For the next 10 minutes, students were arguing about the gorilla or the chicken. The gorilla's the obvious choice. I mean, what are you gonna do? Every single time you open a door, you gotta fight a chicken? I just won't open doors, you idiot. Like, that's realistic. How are you gonna go forever without opening doors? Principal finally got on the mic. Everybody shut up! And the assembly was cut short right then and there. And after that, the would you rather fight a gorilla or a chicken became the most debated question in this school's history. People were making posters and hanging them on the wall. Gorilla versus chicken. Kevin never really said anything about it after that day. But for the rest of high school, people would walk past him in the hall and just whisper, hey Kevin, respectable choice. And that's how he became a legend. This petty principal sucks. One day at this high school, a student came into class 10 minutes late. It was first period. He was still rubbing the sleep out of his eyes. Well, the principal just so happened to be doing classroom check-ins that morning. In that classroom. You're late, Anthony. Why? I missed the bus. I ran here. I'm so sorry. Not good enough. Come with me? She pulls him out in the hallway and just starts laying into him. But she didn't close the classroom door, so that entire class was watching. Like, what the heck? You think the world's gonna care? You show up late to a job, you're done. You show up late to college, they drop you. Life's not gonna babysit you, Anthony. Anthony stays quiet. Then she says, maybe if you got your life together, you would stop showing up late. That's when Anthony finally let loose. You want to talk about getting my life together? I get up at 5 a.m. to get my little brother ready for school because nobody else will. I pack his lunch, I make sure he eats, I try to make the bus, but if I miss it, I run here as fast as I can. So don't stand there and talk to me like I'm just some lazy kid. No, you want to lecture somebody? Why don't you start with yourself? At least I'm showing up and still doing something that matters. I'm not just clocking in for a paycheck and going home to a life I hate. If being a bitter old hag was a subject, you'd be an A+ student. Now get out of my face. Dead silent classroom, dead silent hallway. One student in the classroom whispered, ain't no way she's coming back from that. Ain't no way. From that day on, Anthony was a legend, and the principal, well, she stopped doing classroom check-ins in that class. Good for him. This teacher had the weirdest rule. So this kid, let's call him David. He was in middle school, and this one teacher had a lot of weird rules, but one rule stood out to be the most weird. At the end of every class, students were required to shake this teacher's hand before leaving. Every single day. It didn't matter if you were sick, your hands were sweaty, or you were holding all your books, you had to shake this teacher's hand. And now David, like a lot of others, thought that this was the dumbest rule ever. Like, why is this even a thing? Creep. Well, one day, he decided to test it. Alright, class is over, the bell rings, everyone's lining up to shake this person's hand like he's the dang president. When it got to David, he just walked right past. Excuse me, David. Yeah, what do you think you're doing, man? I'm leaving, man. Not until you follow the rule like everybody else. I'm not shaking your hand, you weird... The whole class goes silent. Teacher, fuming. He walks to the door and he blocks it. Well, if that's the case, you're not leaving. You weird. Now David's stuck. He can't just leave, and the entire class is watching this entire thing go down. David sighs. He slowly reaches out his hand. Fine. Goes in for a handshake. That's right. Now as their hands are about to touch, David inhales and fakes a ginormous sneeze. spit goes all over this teacher's face. You know, everybody just get out of the classroom now. Just go. The next day, the rule was gone. I guess the teacher tried talking to the principal, but the principal told him that it was kind of creepy in the first place to make all your students shake your hand before leaving class. I agree. One day at school, 2 girls started throwing hands in the lunch line over a yogurt, 1 single cup of strawberry chobani. Lunch was already chaotic that day. They ran out of chicken sandwiches early and the drink cooler was broken, so everybody's tense. Then a senior cuts the line and grabs the last yogurt off the tray. Another girl behind her goes, "Yo, that's mine. You didn't pay for it yet." "Yeah, but I was next. You cut me." They go back and forth, then suddenly, boom. Tray gets smacked, yogurt hits the floor and explodes everywhere. And then it begins. A full-blown fight cuts loose. Security's still halfway across the lunchroom trying to make their way. People are gathering, phones out recording this. But in the dead background, you can see Mrs. Jenkins, the school principal, standing there, arms crossed, definitely invested in this fight. Hey, cut it out. Kids are yelling, "Hey, somebody should stop them. Mrs. Jenkins, do something. I'm observing, okay? Security's coming, it's fine. Ladies, please." The girls get pulled apart. Nobody is seriously hurt. Just a busted lip and a ripped backpack. But the footage hit Snapchat that afternoon with the caption, "Mrs. Jenkins ringside." Nobody got suspended, just a couple detentions were handed out. For the rest of the year, whenever kids saw Mrs. Jenkins in the cafeteria, they would chuckle to themselves. "Look at Mrs. Jenkins. She's only here because she wants to see round 2. Can't blame her. Can't blame her. You don't eat till I say you can. You are the worst dad ever. At this house, dinner was a test. Every night, the same rule. No slouching, no elbows, no speaking unless you're spoken to. But one night, this dad added a new rule. No food until you've calmed your mind. A kid walks in hungry. It's been a long day. He reaches for a plate. Not until you've counted 30 breaths out loud. It's a new rule. The kid tries to laugh it off. Are you serious? The dad just stares. So he starts. 1, 2. By 19, his voice is shaky, and he's very lightheaded. 20? By 21, he just says screw it and reaches for his plate. 20, no, the dad then stops him. Nope. You're done. He takes the plate and he scrapes it into the trash. No dinner for you tonight, son. And nobody's hit anything. Not his mom, not his sister. He just sits there and watches the rest of his family eat. Later that night, his sister knocks on his door with a granola bar. Doesn't say a word, just leaves it. After that day, he doesn't eat at the dinner table anymore. He finds a way to get his own food, or he doesn't eat at all. Yo, that dad is the worst. An embarrassing middle school moment. When this kid was in 6th grade, he had this huge crush on one of his classmates, but she seemed to never notice him. Until one day, they were paired up to do a project together. She was sitting across from him, and they were actually having a great conversation. That's so crazy. That's my favorite show as well. I'm actually kind of excited to be working with you on this. Me too. Until all of a sudden, he had to sneeze. However, as he sneezed, a giant booger shot out of his nose and got stuck on his crush's forehead. Wipe it off right now. Wipe it off. And instead of wiping the booger off, he decided to play it cool and say, "No, wipe it off yourself." And he made her clean his booger off of her face. After that, she asked the teacher for a new partner, and she never talked to him ever again. Oh, great. There's a hole in my shoes. Hey, Bill, can you get me a pair? Bill! Yeah, what's up, boss? Can you get me a pair? A pair of what? I don't have time for this, okay? I'm texting you the address. This is my usual spot, all right? Please be back quick. Okay. This should be the place. Mr. Stevens, you saucy dog. Yeah, how can I help you? Yeah, I'll take a pair of your finest twins, please. What? Yeah, I'll take your finest pair of twins. This is a f***ing shoe store. Oh, a pair of shoes. You guys should really fix your sign. An awesome way to mess with someone. The guy that shared the story said that when he was 12 years old, he was sitting on a bench at Six Flags by himself, when suddenly an average-looking guy in his 20s comes up to him, looks him dead in the eyes and says, "You are going to remember me for the rest of your life." And he walks away. That kid is now 45 years old, and that random stranger was correct. He's thought about that moment every day since then. That's crazy. When this person was in 6th grade, he went to this small store by his house and bought a bunch of tiny food-shaped erasers, like these. He sold the erasers 2 for $1, and business was frickin' booming. He was making tons of money, and he kept buying more and more erasers, and he kept selling out. By the end of the year, he made over $1,000. What did he use that money for? He spent all that money on food for his family, and gave some of it to his grandma. Respect. Worst Christmas gifts ever. When this girl was 8 years old, it was Christmas morning and she was hanging out with her entire family. Her grandma hands her a gift. This is to you from me. I can't wait to open it, Grandma. Thank you so much. She opens it up and sees that it's a Christmas ornament. It's a little cherub with yarn hair and rosy cheeks. Well, this upset her very much. She cried because this was the exact same ornament she got for her grandma the year before, and she had to save her allowance up for weeks in order to get it. But apparently, her grandma didn't care. This kid is an absolute legend. When this kid was growing up, he had somehow grown a tail. Well, by the time he was in 6th grade, he had to get it surgically removed. The surgery was a success, but he had stitches where the tail had to be removed. He was given a doctor's note to bring to class, to let his teachers know that he was supposed to sit on a soft cushion, because stitches. Well, one of his teachers wasn't having it. Hey, no, you can't sit on that unless you have a cushion for everyone in this class. But sir, I have a doctor's note. I don't care. These chairs are way too hard. I have stitches. Listen, you rabbit's foot prick. You're gonna man up and sit down, okay? So what he did was, on purpose, he sat down on that stiff chair as hard as he possibly could. So hard that his stitches tore, and he started bleeding all over the place. Go to the principal's office right now. He was sent to the principal's office. When he got there, he told the principal what happened, and the principal was on his side. However, the worst part about this was the teacher didn't get in trouble at all. Every school has that weird kid, and every weird kid does, well, something weird. The person that shared this specific story with me said that there was a weird kid in one of his classes, and every day he would do this exact same thing. Now, this kid was pretty tall, and he was wide. He was a pretty big dude. Well, every single day during this specific class, he would bring in a package of cookies. He would open the package and neatly stack the cookies on the left side of his desk. Then, starting from the top of the cookie stack, he would take one bite out of cookie 1 and place it on the right side of the desk. Then, he would take a bite out of the next cookie and place it on top of cookie 1, and repeat until that original tower was on the right side, with each cookie having one bite taken out of it. Once they were all stacked again, he would repeat the process. Well, after about 15 minutes, every single cookie was eaten. He would wipe the crumbs in the floor and just sit there until class was over. The thing is, this school had a very strict no eating in class rule, but no one ever told him anything. His process of eating these cookies was so intricate that no one messed with him just out of respect. And to this day, he still goes by Cookie Man. People that lucid dream basically never sleep, because sometimes lucid dreams can feel just as real as actual waking life. Picture this, you had an incredibly long day, you go to sleep, but you wake up in your dream. Except you know you are dreaming, and you can do whatever you want. It's your own personal world. You can fly to anywhere you like, make anything appear in front of you, not to mention that you can actually practice for things in real life in your dream. If you don't know how to lucid dream, you should. And this app will teach you everything you need to know. Go to the App Store and search YoroX. I promise it works. My favorite comebacks. Hey Carla, what do you want, Stacy? I saw you getting your nails done last night at the mall with your mom. That's so embarrassing, Carla. At least I have a mom. You take that back right now. How dare you say that to me? Oh, shut up, Stacy. You're so ugly your face makes onions cry. That's the worst joke I ever heard. It's not a joke. Look what you did to Greg's onion. It's okay, buddy. She'll go away soon. I'm so sorry. She's so ugly. Crazy things that happened at a friend's house. When this kid was in middle school, one night he was having dinner at his friend's house with his friend's family. The dinner went well. The food was really good. But once everyone was done eating, the mom did something kind of repulsive. She took everyone's plates and put them on the floor. She then called the family dog into the kitchen and had the dog lick all of those plates clean. The mom then put those plates that the dog just licked clean back into the cupboard. And everyone in that family acted like it was completely normal. He said he was disgusted and he threw up that night because he was probably eating his food off of a dog-licked plate. He never went to that house ever again. The Haunting of Maple Street. As Halloween approached, the neighborhood of Maple Street buzzed with excitement and a hint of fear. For years, children shared stories of the old Jenkins house. Jenkins house was the creepiest, oldest house on the street that had been abandoned for decades. Mysteriously, the house remained untouched since the day Mrs. Jenkins was found dead inside. Well, on Halloween night, the neighborhood was buzzing with anticipation. Everybody was out trying to get their candy. Well, 3 friends, Jess, Sam, and Lucy, were walking by the old Jenkins house. But to their surprise, there was a flickering, creepy-looking sign on the front yard that said trick or treat. Oh, we shouldn't go up there, you guys. You heard those stories, right? Yeah, something doesn't feel right about this. Oh, shut up. Those stories are fake. I want my candy. Let's go. The door creaked open. It was an older lady standing there. A trick or treat? The old woman slowly turned her head up and said, treat? Or trick? The 3 kids ran away in complete fright. The sound of laughter echoed the streets. The old Jenkins house came alive once more that Halloween. And those street kids never forgot what happened on that doorstep. Businesses kids ran in their school. When this kid was in 5th grade, his parents always bought packets of those Mini Bites muffins, which personally I love. But for some reason, these muffins made this kid's throat hurt. But no matter how many times he told his parents, they still continued to buy those muffins. Every day, this kid's parents would put a pack of those muffins in his lunchbox, and every day during lunch, he would throw those muffins away because he did not like them, like I said. Well, one day a kid saw him throwing those away. Hey bro, why are you throwing those away? He said, I don't like them at all. They make my throat hurt, but my parents keep buying them, so I just throw them away. Well, that's when this kid said, dude, those are awesome. Why would you throw them away? I bet you many kids would buy those. And he got an idea. He soon started selling them. He began asking his parents to give him 2 for lunch every day instead of 1. And he gathered a bunch up. His parents had to start buying more boxes of these muffins because they thought their kid loved them. But little did they know, he was gathering a stockpile of these muffins up in his locker so he could sell them to students. And that's exactly what he did. He sold them to students, sometimes for $2 a bag, sometimes for $5 a bag. Sometimes, depending on how desperate somebody was, he would sell it for $15 a bag. And he ran this business for a few years. He kept a notebook of how much he made. And from 5th grade until the end of middle school, he made around $3,500. Gotta respect the hustle. Black markets kids ran in their schools. At this kid's school, for some reason, the cafeteria didn't season anything. The food tasted frickin' bland as heck. And obviously, people like their food to taste good. So one kid had a brilliant idea. He went on Amazon and bought a bunch of those salt and pepper packets. He took that to school and he sold them 50 cents each. So if kids wanted 1 salt and 1 pepper packet, that would be $1. He was selling these salt and peppers left and right, and kids were happy. Everyone was like, yay, no more bland food. You're our hero, man. Yeah, you're our hero. He only did this for a few days before a school administrator shut him down. But in just a few short days, he made over $300. Gotta respect the hustle. Yo, this dude is sus. Okay, so at this one person's high school, there was this dude, and everyone called him Crazy Leo. He was like 6 feet tall, he acted and said weird stuff all the time, and he had crazy eyes. Well, the girl that shared this story said that one day, in chemistry lab, Crazy Leo came up very close behind her. Immediately, she was sussed out. I mean, Crazy Leo was acting freaking crazy. Well, he then asks her this. Can I have one of your hairs? What? Can I have one of your hairs? Sure, fine, take it. Thank you. She said yes just to get him to leave her alone, and he plucked a hair straight out of her head. Once he got the hair, he walked away back to his seat. He then turned on the Bunsen burner in front of him, lit the hair on fire, and inhaled the fumes. Good old Crazy Leo. So there was this teacher, strict, rule obsessed. Didn't matter what the rule was, if you didn't follow it, you were done. One day, the student, let's call him Marcus, starts coughing in class. He reaches into his backpack and pulls out his inhaler. Doesn't say anything, doesn't interrupt the class, he just takes his inhaler. And the teacher stops the entire lesson. Excuse me, what is that? That's my inhaler, I have asthma. She walks over, takes it out of his hand, and goes, you can't just use things like this during my instruction. I'm putting this on my desk. Now, I forgot to mention that this teacher was kind of one of those super old mean teachers, so, maybe she's losing it, because who would do this? Anyway, this kid tries to explain, but she doesn't care. She takes his inhaler and puts it on her desk. If it's that serious, go to the nurse. Otherwise, follow classroom rules. Marcus just sits there, wheezing, staring at the inhaler in front of the room. After class, he actually goes to the nurse and tells her what happened. And the nurse is absolutely livid. She talks to the principal, she calls Marcus's mom, she files a report. Within 24 hours, there's a giant meeting at the school, and this teacher's there. No one knows exactly what happened in that meeting, but the principal pulled Marcus aside afterwards and told him that he was free to use his inhaler whenever he felt he needed to. Marcus never said another word to her in her class, but he used his inhaler whenever he wanted, and she didn't say a single thing. Now, this may not be related to what she did, but at the end of that year, that teacher retired. Good. ChatGPT was supposed to destroy his business. However, business is still booming. An article was just released. It's about this service called Killer Papers. It's a tutoring and essay writing service. KP, the man behind this business, started it way back in high school, where he would write essays for his classmates. For $20 to $30 a piece, athletes and rich kids were having him write their papers. Everyone was happy and everyone stayed in good academic standing. However, he found himself in the principal's office a lot. So, to avoid any further trouble, he shut the business down. Fast forward 6 years, he graduates college and he couldn't stand the job he was in. So, he started this business. Fast forward another 6 years, and at the end of November 2022, he was doing 7 figures in annual revenue. Well, now with the rise of artificial intelligence and services like ChatGPT, people are wondering, how is this going to affect your business? There's no way you can stay in business. This is the end for you, buddy. And he was definitely worried. It was panic time. He had no idea what he was going to do, but he didn't back down. People on his Instagram were sending him DMs, mocking him, leaving comments. It was brutal, but he adapted. Instead of getting defensive, he made fun of himself on his own social media. People loved the honesty, and they began defending him. He then adjusted spending around his company. He was trying to save money everywhere. He then used AI himself. He used AI to assist with payroll and accounting, and it helped save time and money. All of this topped by the fact that universities and teachers were cracking down on AI-written essays. And just like that, for now, him and his business are back on track. There's so much more in the article. You can read it right here. Gotta respect the hustle. This guy thinks what he's doing is normal. I don't think it is. This dude is 20 years old and he lives alone. Growing up, his mom kept their house pristine, incredibly clean 24/7. And that has stuck with him. So recently, when he had moved into this new place by himself, he couldn't help but to think, how many germs from the outside do we attract into our houses via our clothes? And that thought messed with him. So every time he would come inside the house, he would immediately change clothes and throw the other ones in the washing machine. Well, he realized that whenever he had guests over, they wouldn't do that. Obviously, why would they bring a change of clothes to hang out at his apartment? So, a month ago, he bought a bunch of long, clear raincoats. But recently, he had invited a friend over to his apartment. So, do you have a change of clothes? No. Why? You have to wear this raincoat then, before you sit down anywhere. You've got to be f***ing kidding me. I'm serious. Peace. His friend left and hasn't answered any of his calls since. He thinks his friend is overreacting. What do you think? A creepy encounter with a stranger. A few years ago, this guy was visiting his girlfriend who had just moved to New York. They had a wonderful long weekend, but now it was coming to an end. They were riding the subway together, and it finally got to her stop. He was gonna stay on the subway and ride the train to the bus station so he can go home. After they say their goodbyes, his girlfriend stands up to exit through the doors. At the same time that she stood up, however, a very large man also stands up and walks directly behind her. This guy waves to his girlfriend as she gets off the train. The large man then looks at him, points to his girlfriend, and mouths the words, "I'm going to kill her." He freaked out. He got up to chase after his girlfriend, but the doors shut in his face. He had no cell service in the subway either. At the next stop, he sprinted through the subway doors, took the escalator up to the street. He then ran 14 blocks to his girlfriend's apartment and stayed with her that night. Luckily, nothing bad ever happened. This first date ended so fast. This guy said that he was on Tinder and he met this girl that he thought was pretty cute. They talked for a while and they made plans to go out to dinner for their first date. Hey, Kayla. Hi. So nice to meet you in person. Hi, your table's ready. This way. They sat down, they got to talking. Somehow the conversation led to talking about their pets. And this guy said, I have 2 cats, Felipe and Carol. They're adorable. That's so cute. I have a dog named Papa. Oh, I bet he's really cute. One thing though, I am incredibly allergic to cats. Oh no! And if things become serious between us, I'll just make you get rid of your cats. You'll make me get rid of my cats? Yeah. Pretty bold of you to say that to me on a first date. No. I bet your dog's ugly as hell too. And what kind of name is that, huh? Papa. Papa. This date is over. Here's a crazy McDonald's story. So the person that shared this said that she used to work at McDonald's. Well, this lady pulls through and orders a large high C. The girl working the drive-thru said that when they pulled up to pay and get their drink, she heard a lot of people in the car giggling, but she didn't really think too much of it. So she takes her money. All right, that's $2.50. Thank you. And here's your drink. Then, not even 2 seconds later, as she was turning around, she heard the lady in the car scream, "Fire in the hole!" The woman in the car then threw the large drink directly at the drive-thru worker. But somehow the worker was quick, and she managed to ninja chop that cup directly back into that person's car. Oh! It's all over me! The customer who threw the cup then got very mad and demanded that she speak to a manager. I want to speak to a manager right now. This is unacceptable. The drive-thru worker then tells her manager what happened. They banned her from that McDonald's for the rest of her life. The Earth is very close to a lithium shortage, and the shortage could happen as early as 2025. This is because the demand for lithium is skyrocketing. Lithium is needed to make electric vehicles, and as the demand for electric vehicles increases, so does the demand for lithium. So you can see where the problem comes in. It is projected that by 2030, global demand will exceed over 3 million metric tons, which is crazy considering the amount of lithium the world produced in 2021 was only 540,000 metric tons. This is where LIFT comes in. LIFT is a dynamic mineral exploration powerhouse, which is focused on acquiring, exploring, and developing lithium projects in Canada. I'd keep an eye on this if I were you. The purpose of this video is to bring awareness, because this is all in its very early stages. This video is sponsored and brought to you by EQ. And let me tell you, it's gonna be huge. At this person's high school, every single teacher and administrator at the school had the exact same desk. Well, a group of seniors wanted to pull a prank. It was a 9-person crew, and they broke into the school on the night of March 31st. Once they were in the school, they went into every single teacher and administrator's office or classroom. They removed the center drawer from all of the desks and replaced the drawers with another teacher's drawer. Keep in mind, there are 75 faculty members at this school. Once these kids were done with their prank, every single desk drawer had been swapped with another. Well, the next day was April 1st, and it was absolute chaos. Wait a minute, this is not my stuff. Why is my stuff different?
Oh, my allergies are acting up today. Good thing I keep an extra inhaler in my drawer. What is this? I don't even watch baseball.
Hey Steven, you said you're a baseball fan, right? Check this out. Whose inhaler is this? Like I said, chaos. This person saw the craziest thing in a waiting room. This guy took his dad to a doctor's appointment at the hospital. His dad was taken to go get some x-rays. So while he was waiting, he went to the vending machine. That's when he heard some commotion. He turned around to see what was going on, and that's when he saw a moose standing in the waiting room staring at the receptionist. It's looking at me. It's looking at me. Security was called, and when they got there, they obviously did not know what to do. Everyone just stood around for about 10 to 15 minutes, until the moose decided to walk out of the building on its own. This guy was angry for years. We're gonna call him Patrick. Well, 29 years ago, when Patrick was in 3rd grade, he was sitting at a lunch table with some other kids. In the middle of lunch, Patrick pulls out a small bag of carrots. That's when another kid, let's call him Jimmy, looks at him and says, "Look everyone, Patrick's a carrot boy." And for some reason, that incident really stuck with him. Nobody ever brought it up again. All throughout high school and into adulthood, he built up this anger, this raging anger. And whenever he ate carrots, the memory would pop up. Carrot boy! Well, a year or two ago, as a full-grown adult, there's an impromptu high school reunion. He decided to go. He gets there, he has a few drinks, he eats some food, but that's when he notices Jimmy. That old anger welled up. That's when he saw a plate of carrots sitting out. He grabs the plate of carrots, he ran over to Jimmy, and... I guess I'm still carrot boy, huh? I'm still carrot boy? Bro, you good? What are you talking about? Carrot Boy, remember you called me Carrot Boy and you were all laughing at me in 3rd grade? Guess I'm still Carrot Boy. I'm sorry? I mean, I don't know what to say. They had all forgotten about it. 7 of his old classmates unfriended him on Facebook, and Jimmy blocked him on everything. The weirdest compliments people received. This woman was stopped on the street by a stranger. Hey, excuse me. Yeah? I just wanted to say that I love your cheekbones. You look like an elf. Thank you. This person also got a weird compliment. Hey bro, this is Jack. Hey, what's up, man? Jack, nice to meet you. I'm Carl. Oh man, what? Let me see that. You have an awesome left ear. Thank you, man. That's really nice of you to say. This girl was on a date. Hi, Steven, right? Stacy, you look different than in your pictures. Well, I hope that's a good thing. Oh, no, it's good. You look like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. But in a cute way, like a cute Gollum. And last but not least, have you ever been complimented by your dentist? Well, this dude has. Buddy, your oral cavity is amazing to work with. There's so much space in here. Oh, thank you. Black markets kids ran in their schools. Another follower submission. In middle school, there was this one teacher who had this thing where if kids, hey miss, I don't have a pencil, can I borrow one?
Kyle, you know how this goes, my friend. You can buy one of my pencils for $1. You want to do that?
Yeah. Well, the dude that told me this story said that he thought that this was kind of bogus, and it gave him a great business idea. He went to the Dollar Tree and bought himself tons and tons of pencils, and brought them to school. He would have that cup of pencils on his desk, and another cup for payment. But he was gonna sell them for 50 cents instead of $1.
All right, class, take out your pencils and answer these questions on the board, please.
Hey, Jeff, got me? Yeah, bro, 50 cents. Here, thanks.
You are not allowed to sell anything in my class.
What are you gonna do about it?
I can send you to the principal's office.
Okay, and what if I tell the principal that you're also selling pencils to students that don't have one?
You know...
Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, and by the way, your pencils are overpriced. Okay. Black markets kids ran in their schools, a follower submission. When this kid was in 5th grade, he started a business, a snack selling business. He bought a bunch of stuff from Costco. Candies, chips, juice, anything that was popular at that moment. And the second he started selling at school, business was immediately booming. He was selling out every single day. Well, one day he came to school ready to get his business on, to make some money. But he realized business was abnormally slow. And that's when he found out that there was another group of kids who also started the same exact business. Well, he wasn't gonna let this fly. So he made himself some business cards and started having bundles with deals that kids could purchase. He hired 4 employees, 1 in his grade, 1 in 6th grade, 1 in 7th grade, and 1 in 8th grade. And they were paid every single Friday. They had 5 lockers, 1 for each person in each grade. And each one of those lockers were stuffed to the brim with candy and snacks. He's in 8th grade now, and he's still going. In total, he made $7,200. A news team was interviewing this man live on the air when somebody that he owed money to showed up.
First and foremost, we are used to stay outside, like this one. It end up.
I guarantee he paid him his money after that. Let's be honest, none of you are going anywhere in life. What? Yo, that's messed up. So on this day, this teacher was already at her limit. Kids were talking in class, someone was playing Subway Surfers at full volume, and she snaps. She turns to the class and she says this. You know what, guys? It's clear that you do not want to learn, and let's be real. None of you are going anywhere in life anyway. The whole room freezes. People were shocked. Did she really just say that? Well, one kid stood up, and without hesitation, he says this. Clearly, you didn't go anywhere in life either. At this point, the class is losing it. She hits him with this. Sir, excuse me, you have no room to speak. You are literally failing my class. And that's when he ends her with this. Yeah, and you've been teaching this class for 19 years. You eat yogurt for lunch, still drive a 2006 Toyota Corolla, and you cry in the parking lot before second period, so I'm sorry, who's really failing here? A kid flips a chair. Oh my god. The bell rang, these students are going absolutely insane. She stands there frozen. She has no idea what the heck to do. And then as he's about to leave the classroom, he looks at her and says this. Hey, From now on, shut your mouth and let me fail in peace. See you tomorrow. And he left the room. That's absolutely crazy. Black markets kids ran in their schools a follower submission. When this kid was in middle school, he ran a study guide business. And these weren't your run-of-the-mill study guides. These were well-detailed, easy-to-cover documents that covered every single major test and quiz for the whole school. He had a group of students working for him. They were called the contributors. They would help him write and construct these study guides. He sold these study guides for $10 to $20 depending on the test. He also hired some of the bigger kids in school to be the muscle. The muscle kept the blacklisted kids from playing any playground games like basketball or soccer. Kids could be blacklisted for a number of reasons, like borrowing a study guide and never paying back what's due, or for lending a study guide to any non-paying individual. This dude sent me screenshots of the documents he actually used. This is the terms and conditions that came with every single study guide. Pause if you want to read. This is the blacklist Excel sheet. He even had an employment contract for every single one of his employees. He was very efficient. He made about $100 a week, and $600 a week for the bigger tests. And all I can say is for middle school, this is one hell of a business. Crazy things kids did at school. One day at this person's middle school, a teacher saw something on top of one of the lockers. What is that? Beef jerky. It was a full pack of beef jerky. He obviously took it down and threw it away, which is a waste in my opinion. Well, the next day, that same teacher noticed it again. A full package of beef jerky on top of that same locker. What in God's name? And that process repeated every single day. He would take it down, a new one would show up. He would take it down, a new one would show up. He even tried to stake out to catch whoever kid was doing this, but he never caught them. Well, word spread around school about this mysterious beef jerky situation, and kids were invested. This happened for an entire month. Sometimes the location of the beef jerky would change, but still like clockwork every single day, there would be a beef jerky on top of a locker somewhere. After a month of this, it suddenly stopped, with no explanation, and the person who was doing this was never found. That's kind of awesome. Whoever did that's an absolute legend. This kid's mom is sus. The person that shared this story said that his friend's mom wouldn't let them watch SpongeBob. Hey, we should watch some SpongeBob. No. My mom will get so mad. Dude, she's in the other room. Like, it's just SpongeBob. She's not gonna get that mad. They're watching SpongeBob. No. Patrick is such an idiot. What are you doing? Oh my God, Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We're just watching SpongeBob. It's not a big deal. SpongeBob is not allowed in our house, Kyle. Go home now. But now. Okay. And you get upstairs right now. Bring your Bible and the rosary. I'll meet you there in 5 minutes. Yes, ma'am. Dear God. Why was she so against SpongeBob, you ask? It's because she thought the holes on SpongeBob's body would induce evil, sinful, and dirty thoughts. Well, we all knew this would happen. This is Barry, and when his family hadn't heard from Barry in a few weeks, they called the police to do a welfare check on him. And what they found was absolutely brutal. When they got to Barry's house, the door was unlocked, so they went in. They found Barry lying in his bed in a pool of blood with a stab wound to his stomach. They noticed a blood trail, so they followed the blood trail to the kitchen. And on the counter were 2 frozen burger patties with a piece of paper stuck in the middle. Next to the patties was a knife with blood on it. Well, it turns out a few months prior to this, Barry had suffered a stroke, which caused him to have limited mobility. So on the day of his passing, Barry must have been trying to separate these burger patties, as we all have at one moment. Banging them on the counter, trying to get that knife in there, trying to separate those patties, but he must have slipped, and that knife must have went right into his stomach. He accidentally stabbed himself. Freaked out, he pulled the knife out, put it on the counter, went to his room where his phone was, sat on his bed, and tried to phone the police. He didn't make it. Rest in peace, Barry. What are you dipping your fries in? Applesauce? Ugh. So one day, this cafeteria lady says, no more salt or pepper, and just straight up takes all the packets of salt and pepper off the cart. Gone. People are like, wait, what? Why? And she says this, it's part of the new health initiative. We're cutting back on sodium. But here's the thing, they did this, but they're still selling Mountain Dew in the vending machine. 52 grams of sugar, fully stocked, vending machine right across from the lunch line. Doesn't make any sense. So now lunch is like unseasoned chicken sandwich, wet green beans, and a bright green bottle of rocket fuel. One kid goes, we can't have salt, but I can buy a code red before math class? Make it make sense. Another kid is literally dipping his fries in applesauce. I'm doing what I can, man, just trying to survive out here. Ugh. Now this opened up a black market opportunity. Kids started smuggling salt and pepper packets into the lunchroom to sell them. But the lunch aides and the teachers were on it, and everyone who was caught selling this stuff or using it got detentions. It was a battle like this for a while, and guess what? The school never brought salt and pepper packets back. But the Mountain Dew vending machine, it's still glowing right there in the cafeteria. You're late. And there was this kid, let's call him Marcus, that was always like 30 seconds late to class. Every day. And his teacher, let's call her Miss Harris, she hated that. I hate that. So one day, Marcus walks in, super chill, backpack half unzipped, no rush at all. And yes, he was around 30 seconds late. Which in my opinion, 30 seconds late, come on, lady, chill. But anyway, Miss Harris goes, "You're late." Marcus, he didn't flinch. Didn't even sit down. He just stood there and went, "Don't you get tired of being dramatic?" The whole class goes, "Oh." But Marcus wasn't done. Every day with the attitude, like, "Chill, Broadway, you ain't on stage?" Then he hit her with this. "Over here acting like me in the door personally offended you, you goofy looking woman. You're built like a late bell. Always ringing for no reason. Get out of my face." Kids were literally falling out of their chairs. One kid had to leave the room. "You gotta excuse me, I gotta take a walk." And Miss Harris just sat there, frozen, like her spirit just left her. You would think she would have sent him to the principal's office, but I think she was so embarrassed by Marcus roasting her in the class, all laughing at her expense, she just did nothing. After that, she never said a word to Marcus ever again. Because, yeah, she tried to embarrass him, but he ended her in 10 seconds. That's wild. There was a rumor that a kid at this school wasn't allowed to take tests. What? Quizzes, no exams, no finals, nothing. At first, everyone thought he was faking it, like, "Okay bro, test anxiety isn't a personality, get over it." But then the truth came out. This kid barely talked to anybody. No backpack, no pencil case, just showed up, sat down, and left. And every time there was a test, he was suddenly gone, like clockwork. People started making jokes like, "He's got a medical exemption from Scantrons," or "He's so smart, they don't need to test him." But then one day a teacher slipped up. She was handing back test scores and looked straight at him and said, "Oh right, you don't take these." And he just nodded like it was completely normal. Turns out his dad was one of the district lawyers. And a few years back, the school messed up his IEP so badly that his family sued. IEP stands for Individualized Education Program. Well, like I said, his family sued, and they won. And part of the settlement, he didn't have to take any standardized tests until graduation. So yeah, the rumor was real. He had a real legal pass to never take a test ever again. So this school let seniors submit quotes for their yearbook photos. Most people pick stuff like, "Thanks, Mom," or "Most likely to be a Riz God." You know, stuff like that. But this one senior, the kid who was always kind of getting in trouble, submitted this quote. He wanted his quote to say, "At least I'm not the principal." Apparently this kid and the principal had some long-standing beef. Everybody thought it was gonna get flagged. Edited out. There was no way it makes it in the yearbook. Except it did. His quote was in the yearbook. "At least I'm not the principal." The yearbook got delivered. People started flipping through, and then they found it. Page 142, bottom row, there he is. It blew up. People were taking pictures of it and posting on their social media. It was like a monument, a meme in this school. The next day, the principal calls him down to the office. "So you are not walking at graduation." "What? It was just a joke." "Yeah, a joke. At my expense. Actions have consequences, I'm sorry." That sucked. Yes, he was still graduating, but he wasn't allowed to walk at the ceremony. But this is the epic part. Fast forward a few weeks to graduation day. And obviously this kid doesn't walk. But his friends do. And under their gowns, they're all wearing t-shirts that say, "At least I'm not the principal." And when their name was called and they would get up there, they would unzip and show the t-shirt. Oh my god. Whew. Best prank ever. Watch this. "Hey Kyle, you're a loser, man." "Why do you do this, Chad? What have I ever done to you?" You annoy me, I think you're a loser, and, nobody likes you." "Alright, Chad, yeah, whatever, I don't care. Alright, bye." What are you even gonna do with your life, Kyle, huh? Your parents are probably gonna be so disappointed with you. "Oh, you think so, Chad? What are you gonna do with your life?" "I'm joining the Navy, so..." "Oh, you're joining the Navy?" "Yeah, I'm actually shipping out around Christmas time next year after I graduate, so..." "Oh, okay, well, the only thing you're..."
Đây có một anh ở trong team nông nghiệp đang giúp bác này. Ồ, bác Tiết à? Đây là nhà bác trưởng thôn đây nhé mọi người.
Poxa, muito obrigado.
Bác nói cậu là cảm ơn rất là nhiều ấy. Nhưng mà có gì đâu, gạch không dùng được nữa thì không làm gì để cho bác, để bác xây tường rào. Thế bác bảo bác mình hỏi bác xây ở đâu. Mais venil.
Sim.
Adubo, agora eu vou fazer aqui.
Ah, deu pra fechar aqui o muro. Fechar aqui. Sim.
Olha,
Aqui.
Aqui passar aqui.
Fechar aqui.
Fechar aqui.
Sim. Até aí.
Sim.
Sim, para os bandidos não entrar mais na casa.
bác trưởng thôn đang nói là cái gạch này xin anh em mình về để bác xây thẳng cái tường rào ở đây. Aqui tem gatuno.
Tem gatuno, sim.
Ô,
Sim.
cái này kìa.
Tiraram a minha roupa, as panelas, comida, tudo foi.
Bác vào bữa trước ở nhà bác là có trộm vào. Ok, hello, chào bạn, chào mừng các bạn đến với channel Đông Bò Nù Vlog cuộc sống tại châu Phi. Thì bây giờ là buổi chiều nhé mọi người. Thì ở nhà anh em mình cũng rảnh nên mình lên thăm nông nghiệp cũng như lên thăm chăn nuôi một chút nha mọi người. Sáng nay bảo họ dọn hết gạch. Sáng nay mình bảo ok, hello, chào bạn nhé. Chào mừng các bạn đến với channel Đông Bò Nù Vlog cuộc sống ở châu Phi. Thì hôm nay anh em mình có dịp ra trang trại của người Brazil ở bên này để xin phân bò về trồng nông nghiệp nhé mọi người. Thì mình hôm nay cũng ra thăm xem người bên Brazil bên này họ chăn nuôi như thế nào để anh em mình có thể học hỏi được kinh nghiệm cũng như cách chăm sóc dê cũng như lợn của người dân bên này nhé mọi người. Thì hôm nay mình sẽ vào review đàn dê của họ như thế nào cho mọi người xem nhé. Và mình cũng sẽ hỏi cái anh quản lý và cũng như chăn nuôi ở đây xem là anh ấy chăm sóc dê như thế nào nhé mọi người. Thì học nữa học mãi chắc không thừa, nên là anh em mình có dịp ra đây là mình tiếp cận luôn gần với anh ấy để mình học hỏi thực tế nhé mọi người. Hôm nay giờ mình vào review đàn dê của người Brazil của người Brazil chăm sóc như nào cho mọi người xem nhé. Ui, nhiều dê không kìa. Ôi, chạy hết rồi. À. Dá pra fazer barulho?
Sim.
Não fazer.
Quero fazer um muro, a minha casa partiu uma metade de muro.
Bác trưởng thôn là nói là bây giờ anh em mình mà không làm gì nữa thì cho bác cái đám gạch ả lành này để bác về bác xây tường rào nhé mọi người. Đấy sao xuống là tu đủ. Nó quỳnh kênh kia đủ xô, đấy sao đại nè. Ta bây. Mình cũng hỏi người dân là có đồng ý là mọi người đây có ai dùng nữa không, hay là đồng ý cho bác trưởng thôn cả. Mọi người đồng ý cho bác ấy, vì để anh em mình không sử dụng gì đến nữa mọi người nhé. Áo ta bồng, nó đây nè. Đây. Mọi người dân ở đây rất đoàn kết nha mọi người. Một người như bác trưởng thôn cần là mọi người ai không cần là rất là đoàn kết để cho bác trưởng thôn cả. Cada noi, agora você vai tirar como?
Assim, vou tirar o carro de mão e que vou transportar com ele. Trote.
Trote.
Sim.
Là bác trưởng thôn và bác có một cái xe gỗ để bác đây chở bằng xe gỗ nha mọi người. Vai tirar eu quero ver.
Sim, tá bem pai.
Để mình xem cái xe của bác ấy chở như thế nào. Bữa trước là anh em mình cũng đưa xe rùa lên để làm xây dựng cùng mọi người, nhưng mà xây xong là anh em mình phải đưa về công trình nha mọi người. Tá bom, aqui tá bem levar